All right. Hey, come here. Hi, sweetie. Axel's in here inspecting everything. All right, so I have this still life that I wanted to do today. I'm not feeling too well, so I didn't feel like really going live, but so we're not. We're just not going to go live. We'll just record this and then we'll upload it later if it sounds okay. All right, so we're going to start off doing a brunette technique on this. So we're going to underpaint this. Just still life, some apples. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 apples, a hat, a basket. Fairly simple composition. But anyway, I'm gonna paint this in. So we have 3 coats of white gesso on here. And then we applied the sketch. Just a fairly straightforward sketch. And then we have we sprayed that with a portable fix-it. This is the one I use. You can buy it on Amazon. And this is just some burnt umber oil. It's burnt umber with a bit of linseed oil mixed in with it. We'll lay this undercoat down and define all the darks, all the different levels of darks. Probably could have done this with a 1-inch brush, but I kind of like to use it flat. It's not, you could do it faster with a 1-inch brush, but when I paint, I'm not in a hurry. I'm becoming a little bit concerned about the things I see on live. I'll tell you why. It's not the artist. It's the audience. Their attention span's not long enough to actually watch you. I've had several different people say, "Oh, you're taking too long to paint this." Well, when an artist is sharing his time with you, it's something that's really relatively an intimate moment. They're splitting their time between you and their art, actually. You might say, "Oh, no, well, no, they're still getting the painting done," but art's creating is a very intimate time, and to let you in on that. But I've noticed in my case, I've had a couple of people comment that they're not, I'm taking too long, or I'm talking too slow, or I'm painting too slow, and and actually those are the majority of the comments. So those kinds of things. And I've seen it on other artists' channels as well. So it's not me; it's the audience. But so I don't know how many more lives I'm going to be doing. I'll probably do some how-to videos, but I might just do it myself, and then just upload it. Because I've noticed another thing is that people, even artists, do not, coming onto the channel, do not ask a lot of questions. And I'm pretty sure I'm not that, the things that I say when I'm on are not that salient. They're just not that, I don't think they're just so clear that they can go without question. I just don't think people are actually paying attention to what you're doing. So, why not do it on your own time? You're carving out extra time. It takes time to do all this stuff, and that cuts into your art time. Many artists just don't even bother, and that's unfortunate, because the reason it's unfortunate that, one, that people their attention span's so short, but also kind of a shame because I know when I was first starting out a few years ago, I was starving for somebody to put videos up, and there weren't that many quality videos. There were maybe half a dozen people cranking out good videos, and now today, people are just not interested. They I don't know how to explain it. All right, so we got some burnt umber on here and some linseed oil. We're going to wipe this brush out, clean this brush off, and we may use that later. I don't know if we will or not, but for now, we're just going to wipe this. We're going to wipe this back. So this is something I don't usually do. I kind of went ahead and put some tone on the edges as well. I don't usually do that, but I did this time. So I just want a good tone to the canvas. Now, in the reference photo that I'm using, all of these apples are green. I was thinking about making a couple of red ones, but I don't know. I'll decide as I go, I guess. I don't have to decide that today anyway. So, if you do happen to have any questions, you can just leave them in the comments. I answer all the comments that people send. So, and if you'd rather see this live rather than not live, rather than just pre-recorded, then let me know that too, because I don't have any way to know unless you guys can provide me some feedback. All right. So this is going to be interesting, and I've got a kind of a checkered tablecloth that goes in with this as well. So let's start off. The background's very dark in this expo, but not so much right here. This is where the tablecloth comes in. So let's wipe that back some. Now the basket is a bit darker, but it's. Let's work on the apples. Well, let's see. Let's work on the hat first. I've got this farmer's hats over here, so let's kind of work on this. So it's really light around this corner because it's shining on the edge. Of course, when you're underpainting, it don't have to be perfect. I mean, you can work with it. It's really, the underpainting portion of it's really flexible. So, make use of that. Just take your time. Don't change your style or hurry something along. I mean, just because somebody's like, oh, you need to hurry. That's just kind of crazy to me. You're getting something for free and you just fuss about it. I guess it's sort of more normal that way, I guess. Okay, I wiped a little too much of that away. So I'm going to wipe some. All I did was rotate the Q-tip. And now I'm just kind of wiping it back on. There we go. Because, you see, the Q-tip, if you start with a fresh piece of Q-tip, it'll wipe it back pretty fast. If you use a slightly covered Q-tip like that, there's a lot you can do with that. All right, now, so this side of the hat's going to be real dark. It's going to be in shadow. So we'll add some more to that in a minute. For now, let's wipe some of it back. think I'll wipe a little bit of that back. Let me set the Q-tips down for a minute. Let me bring this paper towel back up. I'm going to kind of wipe this hat out. And I think the hat in the reference photo doesn't have a band on it, but I think it will have when I paint it. So let's just kind of start to take some shape there. And we'll come back and we'll add stuff back and take stuff out as we go. Alright, that looks pretty good. And hopefully by now you can start to see the hat coming up right there. Get some more of this drink in me. I'm going down with a pretty good cold. I'm trying to fight it off. See if I can manage. Alright, let's start coloring in the basket a little bit. Now that part, there's another line that runs right there. I don't know if you can see it on the video. But I'm not going to wipe that back too much because it's really, really dark. We'll probably darken it more than what it is right now. Alright, so then the light is kind of coming in from this side. So I want to lighten some of this basket up. And then there'll be a space where there's some those little staples that come in the baskets. Alright, so I'm going to start from this side and work my way across on this original outside strap without changing Q-tips. So let's see, I've got some. So I'm taking the strokes that I want in here with the basket running this way, because the shadows will show up in the overpainting. Rotate that Q-tip. Now we'll come back over here. Now this side's going to be very dark, so we'll start like right about here. And this side's going to be in highlights. So. So that's showing up pretty good. Should be. Looks like it is. I don't want to confuse my reference lines with my basket. So. Let's work on these apples. There's 5 apples in this batch, I think. 1, 2. There's 6 apples in this batch. I can't remember how many apples I drew. Criminally. Alright, here we go. So let's see. We got, let's kind of smooth this out right here a little bit. I don't like the way that kind of just bars in there like that. There we go. That's better. Then it'll be darker in here, and there's going to be some shadow of the hat coming around. So we'll put that in as we go. Alright, let's work these apples. Alright, so let's see. First of all, let's just kind of lay the apples in. Then we'll come back and put the shadows on. You know, I used to work in computer science. I was around when you actually, sometimes you had to rewire computers if you wanted to use a different language. So I've been around for a while, but it's really having worked on the internet when it was ARPANET. When it was the ARPANET. No, one of the things I've noticed is that, I don't know, people just don't seem to trend. Is that people don't seem to watch as much. Is that like groups and stuff on Facebook? Facebook's probably, if it's the one thing it's not is social. To me, it doesn't seem to be. It doesn't. It doesn't require actual social interaction. It just requires you to scroll down a page. So, like a lot of people, I've seen people that belong to hundreds and hundreds of groups. Not to mention the pages that they like, just hundreds and hundreds of groups. And you would think, you know, on the surface perhaps, that's, you know, by clicking like, that all you're really doing is telling what Facebook should send you for ads. Because most people do not comment regularly in the groups that they're in. So there's no actual interaction hardly at all. So, you know, when you talk about social networking, yeah, there's no networking going on. There's just, you know what there is going on? Ad networking. That's what it is, pretty much. I hate to sound so, I don't know, gross, but it just is. It's just the way it is. I said a long time ago, the world wasn't mature enough for the internet, and I still stand by that. I've said it for a long time. I'll probably say it for a lot longer. Alright, so I got to decide about these stripes. So this set of stripes that run up closest to the basket are going to be my lightest. So we'll kind of cut this in around the basket. Picking up a little bit of that cotton off the side of that Q-tip. I rubbed it a little too hard. That's okay. We can just wipe it off with a brush here in a minute. Alright, so we're going to have just going to have two colors of tablecloth, I think. Probably red and white, something like that. I'll probably go ask Wendy what would be a good color tablecloth, but what do I know about tablecloths? Not much. Alright. So that means that we're only going to be coloring the lines that run vertical this way and on the light stripes that way. So there's not a lot of tablecloth here, but there is enough. Alright, looks pretty good. And then I've just got one more square, like right here. Now we're going to go back over that again before we're done, but that gives me a place to start. Now the next stripes are a little darker, So we can probably wipe back about the same amount initially. All right. And then we make the second pass here. We'll lighten up the lighter stripes. Now, I could wipe this back with a towel, but I kind of want to. I don't know if you guys can see, but I'm trying to create these straight. No, that's not the right word for it. These striations. That's the right word. That's the word I'm looking for. In the material, so when I glaze the colors on, you know, they'll be laying under that like that. So started saying under the stretch marks. That'd just be the wrong thing to say. That's totally not the right thing. All right. All right. Now let's wipe. I want to wipe some more off the top before I start wiping stuff into the bottom. Before I start adding colors back. So I'm gonna wipe a little bit right here. I just want to take some of that off, and I'll add more back to it in a minute. There we go. That looks pretty good. All right, now up here. Paper towel. Well, I don't know. All right, let's try with a paper towel. Let's see how we do with a paper towel. Well, that's going to be really dark. All right, let's rotate that a little bit. I just want to take some of that looseness out of it. All right, let's start adding stuff. So I'm going to use a flat brush for the first part of this. I'm not going to do the highlights first. I'll do some of the dark colors first. I'll switch to a small flat. I think I'll use this one. Well, you know what? I've got some of these new brushes here. I'll try these here. All right, so this is a number 4 flat. It's a flat. It's a flat long. It's a long flat. All right, let's start adding some of this darkness, and then we'll start adding some of the light. So let's see how I want to do that. All right, so all right, that's not working for me. That's not doing what I wanted to do. So we're going to just take a Q-tip and wipe that back out. I'll tell you what the problem is here in half a second. As soon as I come. All right, so there's a little too much linseed oil on the brush. Not so much on the canvas as much as on the brush. There's plenty on the canvas, don't get me wrong. But that's not my complaint. My complaint is that there's too much on the brush. So we're gonna have to clean the palette off real quick. So let me do that. Alright. Let me push this oil back. I'm just gonna take a baby wipe. Wipe what's left of that burnt umber. Let me oil. Wipe that off the palette. Then I'm gonna wipe the palette off with a paper towel because that baby wipe's got mineral oil in it. Now, using the dry side of this towel, I'm just gonna kind of wipe a little of this off here. And hopefully you can see that. Alright, so let me put a new fresh bead of burnt umber on the palette. Alright, let's wipe the paint out of that brush. Alright, now let's try it again. Alright. So in this particular painting, we're working with a lot of dark. It's almost like the dark is the negative space. Let me kind of look around here and see where. Alright, so we got some this way. And then we've got this whole side is dark. I really leave it fairly thick because we want it to be really dark. And this part up here is really dark. I'll leave a line there because I'm going to put a highlight in that in a second. And that dark kind of gives way to light. Coming around the corner there. Alright, we get some dark under here. Now let's see, let me think about that for a second. What am I looking at? Yeah, okay, that's good. That's dark. This is the dark part. And this stays relatively dark. All the way up underneath this band. Like that. Blending that out. Now I'm going to actually blend it. I think I'll use a fan brush to do that. I'm going to use a Q-tip to sharpen the edge of that basket back up. Alright. And then I'm going to trade to a really, the same kind of a same type of brush, same brand. This is a number 2 flat. I'm going to take a little bit of oil on this brush, just a little. Start to cut in some of these highlights, kind of a few of these highlights. So let's see how we got this going here. So we'll just keep wiping this brush as we go. And really what we're doing is we're picking the paint back up off of the brush. Off of the canvas. To create the highlight. Not drag my arm in there. switch back to the dark for a second. Alright, so we're getting a little bit of that oil from the second brush on there, so we're going to kind of move away from that for a second. I don't know why I unflattened my brush, but I did. Alright, let's add some shadows. Let's add the hat shadow. So that hat shadow kind of goes like this. Okay. Now, let's clean this brush. Clean it really well. Alright, now we're going to kind of switch back to a Q-tip for a minute. Alright. We're getting there, slowly but surely. Alright, so coming around this side, there's a shadow. And then there's shadow. Picks up on this edge. We have an art show coming up on the 7th. We'll be showing our art along with the Louisville Orchestra. It's an art reception early, and then the concert, and then more art reception. So that should be fun. I haven't decided exactly what paintings I'm taking yet, but I guess I better figure it out pretty soon. Alright, so I'm gonna stick to the small brush for this. I'm gonna come back over here to this corner. Kind of paint this in here. A shadow. There's another shadow right here. And then there's a shadow, a real dark shadow right there. Alright. And then right here in the middle there's kind of a pull down shadow. And maybe someone here on this side. Just some shadow for the, and a little bit maybe like this way. Just there in the basket. Now this shadow gets pretty dark right along in here. And there's double shadow. Just add a little bit more shadow here. Some darker shadow right in here. Alright, let's just blend some of this now. Really soft, really soft. Alright. Now we don't have shadow on this side because we have, that's where the light's coming from, that side. So let's work on the apple some now. Some more. Let's start off with, let's just use this brush. Alright, we got some shadow like that. It comes all the way up, and then it kind of goes around like this. And maybe right in here it gets a little darker. We'll blend some of that in a minute. Now here, we really have a lot of shine, but we have this darkening around this stem. Alright. On this one, the shadow kind of comes around like this. And then under here. All right, let's blend that before we carry on any further. All right, now this one, this apple is facing us, the top of it is facing us. Let's try to get this basket pulled out here, right? Here we go. And then there's another apple down here, so this apple's in highlight though, so we'll have to kind of lighten that back up with a Q-tip. So let's do just that part. Just that part right there. Alright, now there's a little bit of a highlight there. And the apple's actually kind of lighter around this way, like this. We'll put the stem in a second. Okay, now this apple's got a shine on it right here and right here across from it, like that. And then just kind of blend this one out a little bit. That looks pretty good. All right. Clean this brush off. I'm starting to build paint up on it pretty good, so let me. All right, we're still going back with the number 2. We haven't quite laid all of our outlines out yet, but we will. Alright, so there's a dark spot right there. There's a dark spot right here. And then there's a dark spot right there. Now those will come important in a minute. Not right now, but they're a little bit important. Alright, so let's put in some a little bit darker in here. We'll pick this up. Let's color this apple in a little bit more, and then let's kind of take it from there. So if you followed along this far, and first of all, I congratulate you for having a good attention span. Second of all, let me know if you're anything in particular about this, if you want to, anything about this particular painting you want to see. All right, so we got a little bit of a shadow coming like this, and then it goes around the center, around the stem. All right, and then this one has a shadow. It covers most of this apple, but it's not that dark. We'll light it up in a bit. Let's blend some of that, kind of work it out. So the cool thing in working with the underpainting is that you can just continue to work it and work it and work it until you have it exactly like you think you want it. And you're not having to worry so much about color combinations, because you've got, you're only working with one tone. Really all you're working with is the values. Alright, let's wipe the blending brush out now, and let's start working on this a little bit more. Alright, let's use a Q-tip. We'll take this one apple at a time. So this apple down here is fine. We want to blend this a little bit more right here to get that, need a little bit more dark around this way as it comes in, comes around. I'm experiencing a little bit of trouble with this flat brush because it's so sharp. Alright, let's put the stem in there. We'll put a big glob of paint on here for that. Alright, now, the apple, I have to start changing the layout of the paint. So the apple's laying on its side. Alright, and the highlight is right there. And then it kind of spreads out. And all around this part. Now, hopefully, you'll be able to clearly see that the apple's laying on its side versus standing up like we were showing you a minute ago. All right, now this one, this back here, this apple back here, we're going to need to darken it. So let's do. Then we can work it back out. All right. Okay, now so this apple, the stem is like right here. So with that in sight, you can kind of see that this apple is standing this way. Kind of curve around the corners of it. Let's put that stem back in. I just took it back out. Alright, now there's a... I'm going to put that in. That's interesting. Alright, there's a highlight sitting behind the stem and around the edge. So we're going to put this highlight in and this highlight in. Okay. Then we're going to put the stem back in. Like that. Alright. Now, we need to work the... Well, we can work that in a minute. We'll work the outside highlight on that in a minute. Alright, so now we've got this apple. This apple's kind of laying this way. On that side. That's fine. And it has a highlight. Right like this. And then it's kind of around this way. Alright, so let's figure this one out. We don't have the curve of that apple just right. So let's figure it out. Alright, so the stem is right here. Alright. So with that said, so a lot of this apple is going to be highlighted. It's not quite as bright as it could be, but it's pretty bright. Alright. Okay. Now let's see. This apple we got. This one apple here is pretty good. We got this one pretty well. Now there's a dark spot right in there. Alright, now let's put a couple of the brighter highlights on. And then we'll start laying out the rest of this. Now this part here doesn't really have too much more highlight to it. It's just a matter of glazing this part. So let's clean the brush. Let's clean them both, just because I don't know which one I'm going to use the most. But make sure we get all of that thinner out of that brush, because if you don't, you carry that up to the canvas, it's going to be ugly. Don't do it. Alright, so let's start off with this brush. Let's finish the Alright, let's try to clean this brush too, just right after that. Alright, now there is, there is a tad of highlight right here where this apple comes around. For this basket, and then the basket is super dark right there. All right, now we're starting working details here. So let's get it all laid down here. All right, So we got, I swept all that paint out so I could put it right back in. It's not suiting me. I think there's a little too much oil right here, so we're just going to wipe it out. Go right back to the canvas. I'm scrubbing it right down to the canvas. Now I can put it back in the way I want it. Right. So this part is very dark. And there's a small, thin, lighter highlight right along the edge of this roof. And I might have almost put it in too deep, but alright, so there's a oh my. So let's put this in here. And then we're going to pick up that right here on this edge. Kind of paint it onto the apples. We're taking it back out. Part back out. Here we go. And this apple's going to have a nice sheen to it, so we'll leave it pretty light for now. All right. That looks good. All right, so we're flattening the brush out. Make it nice and sharp. Paint this in here. Now, if the paint gets too wet, you can always let this dry and then darken it some more, right? All right. Now, on these dark spots right here, let's blend that out. I'll just use this. So I use a fan brush to blend this. I just want to create those darker spots. Then we're going to come back. I'm going to get another 2-inch. Oh, you know what? I'll use this brush maybe. Yeah, so this is bright. It's the number 2 bright. I'm just going to put some oil on it. Because all I really want to do is put a highlighted staple right across there. Just like that. Pick it up again. There you go. All right. Put a little bit more oil back on it again. Create another staple. So you're cutting across fairly thick paint, so you're going to have to wipe it back out each time. Like that. And then this one over here, one more. Now, got a bunch of this little bitty stuff to do. So a lot of wiping and going back. All right, so we've got a ridge. So we'll pull it as far as we can. Wipe the brush out. Go back and pull it again. So basically we're creating this ridge, wiping out this paint, creating this highlight along the top. Now it's a little bit wider, so I'm just going to push a little harder. See how that works? See how that works? And then come back and pull it out. So that oil is basically lifting the paint back up. So let that be a lesson to you as far as whether having more or less medium is good for your painting, because it can really kick your butt if you get it wrong. I might have tried to pull a little too far at a time, we'll see. Okay, so that's working out pretty well. Alright, let's do the bottom, along the bottom. Okay, along the edge, this way. Okay, so now I'm gonna fold a paper towel and put it in my hand, because I'm going back and forth, and it might be just easier to do it this way. Now, if you do go back over with a clean brush. Don't add more. Don't keep adding oil, because if you do, you're gonna get a drip, and it's gonna suck. It's gonna suck real bad. So don't do that. All right, now on this side, I want that same highlight, but we're gonna go a little slower this time, because I want this line to be really thin. So all I'm doing is creating the slightest highlight on this band. So I want to show it off. I want to show the strap off, but I don't want to show it. I don't want to over highlight it. There we go. All right, I didn't come down far enough though. Alright, now this is dark across the bottom, so we'll come back and let's just do it now while we're thinking about it. So this part right here, we've got paint coming up like this, shadows, just shadows, like that. So let's take the flat and just kind of pull that up. Then we'll take a Q-tip and kind of clean away my overflow. It's easier to do it that way than to just kind of wipe down it, if that makes any sense. We're going to do the same thing in a couple other places. So let's see. We got some shadow there. I've already done that. Let's put some right here on this edge. We kind of meet up with that shadow like that. Alright. And then let's blend that. Take away the rough lines. So back to the little bitty brush. And I can see I've already gone over an hour, and I'm probably going to go, I could go maybe another hour, who knows. You'll be able to, since it's pre-recorded, you'll be able to see, so you can just decide if you want to skip forward or not. We're going to do a bunch more of this highlighting. So let's do that. Alright, that's too long a stretch for that dry brush, so that wet brush. That highlight runs all the way to this corner. So that's going to be tricky because we're going to be pulling through some really thick paint right here. All right? But that's okay. We're going to lay it down first. If you were here, you could almost see the paint liquefy right on the canvas. So what I'm doing, I'm going all the way back to the beginning every time. To really start to cut through that paint. And then we'll pick up a little bit more oil. And I'm going to wander a little deeper into this paint. I want to come on the top. I want to be up here, all the way around the corner. I don't know if you can see it, but it's not quite as bright as it is going this way. So we're going to pull it that way. Alright. Let's do the bottom. I don't know why that is. It's because I'm pushing it versus pulling it. Why it cutting deeper, but it's doing a good job. One little patch of paint. There we go. I'll stick in there. Couldn't get it to unstick. There we go. Alright. And we've got a little bit dark coming off of this shadow. Maybe a couple. Some of it narrow. There we go. And then we've got some, this kind of runs this way. Alright, let's blend that. Okay. I still want this shadow to be lighter than it is, so we're going to cut it in again. There we go. Alright, I like the way that looks. That's nice. It came out really nice. So it's a second pass on the same shadow. We're working very small lines of paint in this set in this time. So I'm cutting a second line beneath this, and the reason that I am is I want to kind of just feather that line out a little bit. We're going to tell you what. There we go. I was going to cut in with another brush, but I think I'm good. Alright, now I've got a strap that shows up on this end. It shows up right on the edge of this corner. So we're going to cut this straight down, and then we're going to cut across. Cut it across. Plus there's another thin line that runs right here. I'm just pulling it to pull the paint across. Ugh. Man, it's details. And then I've got another line way over here. It's really light. And we'll just let that stay like that. Alright. Is there anything else on the top bridge? No. Alright. So we're gonna rotate this. I'll tell you what. Let's finish the dark on this side. While we got it. Let's get it done. So we got some dark right here. Get some paint. Can't paint without paint. It's like this weird rule. Okay, let's feather that. Cut a few more lines. Let's cut one right here. All we're really doing is kind of setting this hat off from the color. The color of the hat itself will set that off some. So we don't have to worry about that too much, but we're just creating a highlight area. Okay, we're laying down the paint. And we're going to pick it back up. Now we're laying down the medium. Now we're trying to pick it back up. I don't need a whole lot of highlight right there. Just enough to make it just a tad lighter when it hits the canvas. Alright, that looks pretty good. Alright, now I want to run another, so I'm going to turn this around now because I can work on it a little bit more this way. Alright, so I want to pick up some paint right here along this edge. That's where there's going to be like a real bright highlight. Just kind of blend that back down a little bit. I'm going to push that all the way around. So. We just came back from the Smokies, and so I saw lots of still lifes and stuff while I was gone. Kind of inspired me to want to do some myself. So I have done some from Marion Dutton's classes. They're very nice. I don't think anybody does it better, probably, than Marion. All right, now I want to create some kind of just spots. Just to add a little bit of texture to the hat. Maybe I'll put some of those on the top too, so let's do that. All right, so if you can't, just in case you can't see that, you'll be able to see it here in a second. So you put those marks in there. All right, let's work on some apples, a little bit more apples now. Let's wipe my hands off first. Note to self, don't put that stuff on the edges anymore. That's dumb. All right, let's see. Okay. So Emily Jean, aka the Little Painter Girl, is doing Christmas ornaments. Some of them commissioned, so if you're interested in that, it's a really good opportunity to get a nice, really nice present for somebody. You should check it out. I think she's only taking orders for another couple of weeks, though, so you better get your order in. She's done some really good stuff. All right. Let's put a little bit of an edge just to create some contrast along the edge of this hat. So right now I'm just laying the median down. There we go. Now I'm trying to pick it back up. I need another paper towel. You know, I was planning to do 2 paintings today, and I just don't think that's going to happen. I just don't think that's going to happen. I wasn't feeling all that great when I started. This cold setting in, but this other painting's just taking a little longer than I thought. But you know what? It just takes as long as it takes. You can't rush it. You can try, and then you'll be doing it over. All right, now I like the way that looks. Not quite as sharp as I had envisioned, but it's actually better than I envisioned, so that's good. Thank you, paintbrush. All right, now we can work on the apples again. Okay, so we got a really shiny apple right there. Now we've got some other apples, other spots. So let's work on it here. Start here. And I'm gonna wipe that with I don't want that to run. So I'm gonna just it's gonna be a great big shiny spot right there. And then there's a little one right there. And then, let's see. Need a different brush. I got a little more shadow along this edge that I'm showing, so let's put that in there. Like that. And we'll wipe a little bit of that back. And then over here, I left that shadow there, so that's good. Get some shadow down here. Wrong brush. Get some shadow right here. And then we've got a dark shadow right there in the stem. We got some more dark shadow there. A little bit of shadow like right there. Right there. Alright, and I got some shadow. Holy crap. Got enough paint on there? Good lord. That's weird. Alright, so I got the color right, I think, but I'm not happy with this part right here. I'm gonna leave that. I want this shadow to be darker than the apple, so. Alright. Let's finish up some of the highlights. Let's see, we got. Alright, so let's see, we got highlight, we got arching highlight right here, and then we got another one like right there. Now this apple doesn't have, it's got a little bit of a highlight like right there, and that's about it. And this apple doesn't have a lot of highlight, it's got a couple little diddy dots. More like rough texture than anything. Let's lighten this apple up a little bit. Alright. Okie dokie. Let's take a final look at this. Alright, we could put a little bit of a cut, like right across the back here. Like right here. We don't have to really wipe it too much, just let it be dark. That's fine. Let's cut this in like a sharp. There we go. Because see, that's getting darker, so these are really going to show up kind of gray. All of that dark part. All right, so we got that part's. This part's right. Let me cut that now. I just want to cut this in right next to this apple. So I need to clean this brush. Oh! I almost put in my coffee. That would have been good. Yummy! Burnt umber. The latest brand from Starbucks. There we go. Alright. I think that part that's kind of done. Alright, let's put in the last bit of things here. Let's put these tablecloth lines in. And let's see, how do they show? They're on the show going to be glazed, so they're going to be... They're going to be glazed over, but... They don't have to be too strongly solid, because they're really kind of like, you know, in the fabric type thing. It needs to be darker than that, though. There we go. That's pretty good. Then we'll blend all this here in a second. Because I want these to be kind of soft in the background. Oh, this part. Crap, I forgot about that part. Let me think about this. Let's just kind of... The brush is too tiny to do that, so but that got me started so I didn't forget. All right, we'll go to this bigger brush here. I want this to be kind of pretty random, so this back part. Alright, that was quick. Alright, now let's do a little bit of extra work on this though. Alright, now so because of that, though, it's made me rethink some of this a little bit. So that's okay. Because if I was going to make the background lighter, but I don't think I am. I'm going to make it darker. So let's get this apple straightened away. And let's make it a little lighter on the edges. Which means we'll make all of them a little lighter on the edges. And the rest of these we don't have to worry too much about. Here we go. Alright. That'll be it for the underpainting. Okay, let's get the working our way backwards through the brushes now. So we don't have any fine detail left to do. We did that. Did all that, so that's good. Clean the brushes. Clean the brushes, clean the brushes. I got the streaking that I was looking for. Got this laid out the way I wanted it, so that's good. I'll put that brush away. Alright, mid-tier. Mid-tier brush needs to be cleaned. I'll wipe it out. This all looks real good. I don't see anything in the mid-tier that I think I need to address. I don't think at all. I don't really like to blend with these brushes. They just don't. They're too sharp. Alright, so now I get to clean it again. Alright, now we'll look at our blender brush. I want to soften these lines. Blend them out a bit. So now, of course, when we paint this, we'll paint this back part first, and then we'll move forward. So if we get any paint on the trees, we'll clean them off before we get to them. All right. I think I'm pretty happy with that. And one final blend, not with this brush, with this blender brush. I did cut the stem off a little bit, but I can put that back in when I do the final. Alright, now there's a spot right there. Alright, well, since we got to get the I'm going to go out with this, what is this? Number 2, flat short. I'm going to go with a flat short. And I've got a dark spot I need to put in right here underneath this hat. Well, I shouldn't have added any oil. Probably should have just left it. But there we go. Let's put it in like that. And as long as I'm at it, I might as well put that stem back in. Put all these stems back in. Alright, so if you got this far with me, thank you. Thank you for watching. And guess that's all for now. So let me show you, let me move this up closer where you can see it. Ooh, got a little bit of a run right here. There we go. Decide for yourself what you think. We'll be back to paint this thing, hopefully tomorrow. Along with the other thing I wanted to paint that I didn't even get started on. So, whew, oh well. One of those things. Just takes as long as it takes. Hope you guys are having a good, whatever the heck day this is. Tuesday? I guess Tuesday. Because it's voting day. So, I think I should go take some cough medicine. And pull up a nice glass of hot chocolate. take a break. See you guys. Thanks for watching.